here of Gentlemen's Racing Club. My name is Simon Smith, and we're here for the Division 1 race today, which is sponsored, of course, by Ultranet Networks and other people as well. And apologies for that miniature delay there, but my name is Simon Smith, as ever, joining you on these Monday evenings for some high-octane spills. Joining me alongside, as ever, is our completely incomprehensible co-commentator, Marco van den Broeck. Say hello, Marco.
Good evening, Simon. I'm going to try to be okay today, but let's see what I can do here.
Also, I think we've got kicking around someone that we all know very well and have come to love, of course, over time. In a manly way, of course, is Jack Nichols. If you're there, Jack, hello.
Hello, Simon. Thank you for that curious introduction. It's going to be a great day of racing, great evening of racing, because, as we know, there's a lot to play for.
So, we're just going to be moving forward to our qualification session. Of course, same old features, same old results. It won't be a same old result because, of course, we're down to the last wire, and there are two certain gentlemen that are very much in contention for taking this championship win here today. The top one of those is Jack Keithley. He's currently on 357 points. He started 12 races, won 3 of them, been on the podium 5 times, and had been in the top 10 in every single race he's started. Jeffrey Ruskus is his main rival. He's on 316 points. Started all 14 of the events so far. He's only won 2, but once again he's been in the top 10 in every race bar 1, and therefore has been racking up a rather nifty points tally while he's at it. And so that means that it is all to play for here with WatkinsGlen today, because if you win both events, that's 80 points in the bag, which is more than what you need to take home the championship today. So, Jack, do you have any particular inklings as we move forward to qualification? And let's see who we've got out on track as well.
Well, we've got to remember the ballast, Simon, and that could be the biggest thing today, because Keithley has the most ballast. He has, let me do the maths, 13 kilograms more than Jack Keithley. So that could play a crucial part. But we just saw in free practice that Keithley is quicker, by the looks of it, than Jeffrey Ruskus. He was 4/10 quicker in the free practice session, but it's all down to qualifying. And with so many points up for grabs today, the most they could get is about 90 points. So it really is an opportunity for Ruskus to win it or Keithley to win it. Those two are, of course, the only two contenders.
Yep, and that's all that we've got. 4th placed Martin Palm is currently our top man that's out on a qualification lap at the moment. The two big guns have yet to take to the track, and here you get to take a look at the WatkinsGlen circuit if you're not particularly familiar with it already. It's one of those quite old-styled circuits with long sweeping corners, except for the one that Martin Palm is currently in, which is going to cause all kinds of fun today, because that chicane is very cuttable, and if you make a mistake through there, you'll be flying through the air at God knows what speed, and we all know where that will end you, in one of those lovely blue barriers, I'm quite sure.
Scott Giuliano actually has just crashed out on his qualifying lap. He's currently 9th place in the championship, so a pretty strong contender out there today, as Palm runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn 10, but Scott Giuliano binned it at the first corner, so he's going to be starting right down the back of the grid. Not good news for him, as Palm comes across the line in a 1 minute 12.5. Fastest time, as I say, we saw in free practice was Keithley with a 1:12.0, so perhaps someone might squeeze into the 11s in practice. We'll have to wait and see. In qualifying, rather.
Yep, indeed, as Lauren Evanessi pops into second currently with a 1:14.136. That's unfortunate for Scott Giuliano, because he's just signed for my team for season 9. So that could be ominous for things to come, as Pablo Martinez pops into second position with a 1:12.775. And still our two big guns sit and wait for everyone else to put their pieces on the board. Randy Miru down in 12th position though, is just popping across the line, and he of course done the double last time out. A very different circuit though this time by Jack.
Well, absolutely. The last one was tight and twisty and no margin for error here. It's absolutely flat out. The slowest, no need to laugh at that. The slowest corner, I think, is a third gear, about 80 miles an hour or something. So it really is a flat out circuit, and slipstreaming is going to be so key today. It's going to be unreal, the slipstreaming we get around this place. Danny Lubbers, actually, sorry to interrupt you, in position 9 at the moment. He is the fastest guy out there at the moment. Eduardo Cañada has just taken provisional pole, but Danny Lubbers in the DHR Simcraft car, who actually are gunning for the Constructors' Championship, he just comes across the line to do a 12.4. He takes provisional pole position away from Eduardo Cañada.
Certainly does, and that definitely means that the DHR guys are tuned in, because wherever Lubbers is, Keithley isn't too far ahead of him, and Keithley's just taken to the check just now. So let's see what happens with them. As quite curiously, Eduardo Cañada has blocked his teammate Ivan Iglesias out on their hot laps, I think, so they're busy scrapping over in P14. Currently, though, your top 5 is Danny Lubbers, followed by Eduardo Cañada, Martin Palm 3rd, Pablo Martinez 4, and Daniel Beck has just popped into P5 currently at the moment, while the next batch of cars set themselves up.
Yeah, you're right. Ivan Iglesias, perhaps. I wonder if Cañada was trying to give him a tow or something, and they just did it a bit Red Bull style-y and got it all messed up.
We'll have to see who's professional or preferred team member there, definitely, as not too many cars out there left to go. Simon Meluish down in P15 is just about to cross the line, and he pops into a very respectable 5th with a 1:13.303, and he's after a decent end to his season, I'm quite sure, after quite a few unfortunate ends to his races. And Jack Keithley in P12 will be kicking off his lap very shortly as well, and that's the one we all need to watch.
Yeah, it certainly is. Keithley will be happy with that, because Meluish will be happy with that, because he's really improved since he joined the BMW side of English Racing Nights. He was a bit, crappy in the Lexus earlier on this season, but the BMW seems to suit, BMW seems to suit his style. But here comes Jack Keithley then, your championship leader, out of the final corner to start his lap, his qualifying lap. It's all or nothing. Remember, there's 3 points if you grab pole position, so that could be crucial in itself. He drops down into turn 1, takes it about 85 miles an hour. Jeffrey Ruskus there, just coming out of the pit lane on the right, in fact, so
timed that
a good
wrong.
job. Yeah, exactly. It's a good job Ruskus wasn't a little bit faster out the pits, because that could have been affected. But now Keithley then will shift up into 6th eventually. He really held that for a long time in 5th gear. That could compromise his speed down the straight. This is the fastest point on the circuit, and then this chicane here at 5, 6, 7 and 8, sounds like a step song, is absolutely scary, isn't it?
3 tenths up. He's 3 tenths up, guys. 4 tenths actually.
He's 4 tenths down on Danny Lubbers' first sector time, I think.
Yes, indeed.
And that's Patel there's been in it just in front of him, and that may well have distracted Keithley slightly as he comes into the last bits there, Jack.
He's half a second down now. It's not surprising to see Mohammed Patel in the wall. I like him and everything, but he does find himself in the wall a lot. But Keithley's going to exit this final corner, and it'll be fascinating to see what Ruskus can do, because Keithley is going to be sort of mid-top 10, 5th position. I called that right, didn't I? So 5th position for Jack Keithley. Now Jeffrey Ruskus, currently in 15th, is just starting his hot lap.
And he's got a clean track ahead of him to do it, unless Keithley decides that he's going to play extra slow and bulk him slightly into the corners, and that's a decent line through turn 1. He's currently showing P15, and let's see how he takes this other corner, and see how he holds on to his 5th gear around it as well.
Yeah, he's got a longer gearing setup by the looks of it than Keithley, so that could give him an advantage in the straights. Of course, the Cadillac needs all it can get in the straights, a big heavy brute of a car. That's probably Ruskus' only concern. So he's going to come through the first sector. He too is 3 tenths down on Danny Lubbers, or just over 3.5. Okay, I'll be specific, 0.381 seconds. So he's done a similar first sector time.
Absolutely, as he comes over the last little straight, and then it will all be corners from here on in, and with a lower gear set in ratio, you take it, Jack.
Sorry, yeah, he's still 3 tenths down as he comes across the line, so this is going to put him ahead of Keithley. Is it? I think it is. That's a 5th position for Lubbers too.
So that just leaves only Henry Vierock out on track in P15, but that's crucial because the championship rivals will be starting alongside each other currently in 5th and 6th positions, and they've got Keithley's got his teammate Lubbers to try and control the pack up front and try and shuffle everyone about, and Ruskus has no one on his side to help him out, so he's got to make sure that he stays ahead and hopes for the best, as Vierock, down in 15th position at the moment, will be our last man to complete a time.
Yeah, he's 7/10ths down on Danny Lubbers at the moment. He was a little bit shaky coming out of turn 9, but he's a good driver, as Vierock. I had many battles with him in open wheel cars last year, including punting him off the road at Spa. Sorry about that, but he goes 9th position, so I think he'll be pleased with that.
And isn't this not one of his debut-y type races, actually, for Henry Vierock? So I think he'll be quite happy with that. A top 10 start. But that means Danny Lubbers is our pole setter for the sprint race here at WatkinsGlen. I'll just take you down the order of the grid. Danny Lubbers then, with a 1:12.446, takes provisional pole, he's got it for DHR Simcraft. Eduardo Cañada will start alongside, once again shining well in qualifying, with Martin Palm and Pablo Martinez on row 2. Jeffrey Ruskus and Jack Keithley, our championship contenders, with all that extra weight and ballast and all the fun of an ice cream truck, down on row 3. Simon Melliwish will be delighted with 7th, with Daniel Beck 8. Henry Vierock 9, and Even Iglesias round out the top 10. Randy Miro for Backmarker Brigade, 11. Even Pons 12, Lauren Evanessi 13, with RP McMurphy probably a best ever 14th there. Alex Sorchuk, I don't think he actually completed a lap, down in 15, and we saw Scott Giuliano pop it into the wall 16, with Mohammed Patel the only other driver out and qualifying, down in 17. So there are your runners and riders for this sprint race today.
You can tell you've been doing a lot of American commentary recently, Simon. There are your runners and riders. Okay, so it's RP McMurphy, just as you say, a good qualifying for him. He's struggled a little bit since making the move up to Division 1, but 13th place is very, very respectable from the English Racing Knights Templars driver. Daniel Beck, that's a good solid performance from him, up in 7th position. I've often been battling with Daniel this season, and I think Ivan Iglesias will be a little disappointed to be down in 9th position, but of course we saw him and Cañada have a little bit of trouble together on Iglesias' outlap. Interestingly, it's Kraken Motorsports and DHR Simcraft who are gunning for the Constructors' Championship. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because at the moment, sorry, let me just get my stats in front of me. At the moment, it is Kraken Motorsports, last season's champions, who are on top with 509 points, but only 34 points behind are DHR Simcraft. So those two are going to have a real fight, I think, because they're both in the top 6 or so.
Definitely, and they've kind of shot themselves in the foot there, Kraken, a little bit, with that little tete-a-tete on the outlaps and slowing down laps for each driver, as Raul Pons fails to get onto the grid. We might have an 18th car, but we'll soon see if he can sort himself out. But yes, Ivan Iglesias has one of those. He's one of those racers where he's not necessarily always at the front, but by the time the pit stops have shaken themselves out, he's generally like one of the last ones to pit, and suddenly finds himself shuffled up to the front. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes from what will be 10th on the grid once Danny Lubbers rejoins. He's dropped out of the server from pole position, so let's hope he gets back in as soon as possible. And Even, I'm sure, will be giving us plenty of slipstreaming fun and action as he tries to carve his way through the field.
No, absolutely. Cañada and Iglesias certainly are very consistent. They're 3rd and 4th in the championship at the moment. Unfortunately for Iglesias, his slow performance in Trois Rivières really has knocked him out of this championship hunt. But a good front runner for this whole time. And like I say, those two, as teammates, are almost unstoppable as a team, because they're both so consistent and they both pick up wins as well. Although Cañada hasn't this year, Ivan Iglesias has actually picked up more wins than Jeffrey Ruskus this season.
Which therefore shows just how he has kind of had a fluctuation in his performance, because if he'd have stayed at that kind of level all the way through, we'd have definitely had a three-way battle, as I think we can see now the standings on the screen, so that you can run through the top lot, as you can see before your very eyes.
Indeed, it is Keithley on top then, 357, then 40, what did I say, 45 points behind, I think? No, that's wrong. But anyway, Jeffrey Ruskus is in second place. And interestingly, Keithley has had 2 less races than Jeffrey Ruskus. Keithley has missed 2 rounds, 1 round and 2 races this season. Not entirely sure which one it was. But so that's impressive from Keithley to have had 2 less races and still be ahead of Ruskus. So it's going to be a real battle between those 2 on the grid. Then you see 3rd and 4th, as I said, Iglesias and Cañada. Martin Palm running in 5th position, and Emmanuel Gaxella is, I'd say, a very disappointing 6th position, considering he's raced every round so far. Is he here today? I don't remember seeing his name out there. No, there's no Emmanuel Gaxella this week. So, obviously, a bit of a disappointing season for the former champion.
Yeah, Gaxella's been one of those people that's been caught up in quite a few incidents. I remember, what's the one with the really horrible chicane at the end, with the big bumps and the I've forgotten where that was. It was somewhere in Britain, but it was he was in all kinds of trouble there. And for the 14 starts that he's done, Thruxton, that's the one. God, that was a hellhole. But he's only had 4 top 5 finishes out of the 14 starts that he's had. Despite having poles and fastest laps and high climbers, wins and things like that. So it's just not quite been the kind of same consistency as what the rest have had, even though he's got the raw pace and speed there. So bit topsy-turvy there for Emmanuel Gaxella this season.
I think I remember him saying something about exams or something. He didn't have as much time to test as he would have wanted because he had exams coming up or something, whereas, people like me just don't bother with the exams and then have to do resits and that sort of thing. But Gaxella, obviously a very sensible man, chooses to work for his examinations.
And sensible is what we'd like to promote here on PSR TV. However, just rounding out the top 10 here, you've got Stacey Greensill, again another person we've not seen today. The highest person, I think, third highest person that's not done a win. He's not even been on the podium though, so that shows his consistency. No podiums, and still 7th on the championship overall. So good stuff there from
It was the first race in Bahrain that Jack Keithley was not at, but we've moved to the race session now, so it'll be Danny Lubbers on pole position with Eduardo Cañada behind him. We'll take a full run down through the order when the formation lap gets underway. 15 laps here, should be about a 20-minute race. They've had to extend the race distance because this track is so fast. If we'd have done the normal race distance of 350 kilometres or whatever it is, it would have been over in about 5 minutes. So they've had to extend the race distance, so it'll be a 15-lap race, and as they get on away on the green flag lap, let's have a look down through the grid, Simon.
Absolutely, and we've had enough of 5-minute performances, or so I've been told, so let's get on with a decent endurance-y type race. Danny Lubbers then on pole for DHR Simcraft in a BMW. Second place is Eduardo Cañada for Kraken Motorsports in the Cadillac, so Cadillacs can do the jobby around here. Third is Martin Palm, Digital Racing Team BMW. Fourth, Pablo Martinez for Abu Dhabi Motorsports in a Volvo, it's the top Volvo today. Jeffrey Ruskus, 5th, 05 Motorsports with a Cadillac. 6th is a certain Jack Keithley in their second DHR, Simcraft and BMW, and watch out for those 2, they are championship contenders here today. Simon Mellish, a fantastic 7th for English Racing Knight Templars, also in a BMW. 8th, Daniel Beck, Adia Racing BMW 2, prize, BMW. Henry Vierock, Torrent Motorsports in a Lexus, shock horror, in a 9th position, and rounding out the top 10 is Ethan Iglesias for Kraken Motorsports, also with a Cadillac.
In 11th position, we've got Rando Muru in the, he's all on his own. He's in just the BMW courtesy car. 12th place has gone to Ivan Pons in the Independent 758 Lexus. Where are we now? 13th is Laurent Evenis in the ISI Racing Team. 14th, RP McMurphy for the English Racing Knights Templars. He's in a BMW as well. 15th position goes to Alex Sorchuk in the Stigline Northern Ice Lexus. That sounds cool, doesn't it? And then 16th position for Scott Giuliano in the ISI Racing Team. We saw him bin it on his first lap, so he'll be looking to get back up through the order. And then 17th position, we have Mohammed Patel. We saw him crash out as well. So some quickish guys at the back, but in Division 1 they're all quicker. Mohammed Patel, actually, I don't know if we caught a look at that. He's just spun, warming up his tyres. So
Eager Beaver.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't hit anything though, so he should be alright. Ivan Pons, on the other hand, he's taken a trip across the gravel as well, down at the final corner. But
And he's
the
got no
final
bumper.
round. Oh, has he hit something?
He's got no front bumper. So he's off into the pits. So we're just going to be getting ready for the starty poos. This is our feature race for one final time of asking before we go on to the big finale. Here come the lights. Who will yoink it down into turn 1? Give the honky horns. Danny Lubbers on the left, Kenyatta on the right. Who will make it? We are go here at WatkinsGlen for GRC Season 8's final round and his finale. And look at Pablo Martinez blast past Kenyatta and Lubbers, and he's going to take the pair of them down into turn 1. Cuts across Kenyatta, it's going to hold off Lubbers and push him nice and wide. Martinez holds the curb and they are through. Keithley has passed Ruskus for 5th and 6th position, and that's going to mean all kinds of things championship wise, but currently it's Martinez, Lubbers, Kenyatta and Palm making a 4-way breakaway side by side down to the back straight, Jack.
This is where we're going to see the slipstreaming that's going to go on. It's 3 wide. We've got Palm on the outside, Lubbers and Kenyatta. Martinez is now in the lead. Keithley and Ruskus are side by side behind them, but there's a 4-way battle for the lead going on. Martin Palm has made it up into 2nd position, but he's run a little bit wide. Now Danny Lubbers looks up the inside of Kenyatta, but he's not able to get through as they head down out of the chicane into turn 9. So Martinez has built out a little bit of a lead, but we've seen that Volvos are very susceptible to slipstreaming, and Jack Keithley now is behind Jeffrey Ruskus, but let's keep watching this battle at the front because it's incredible. Kenyatta is looking to the outside of Martin Palm as they drop down into turn 10. Runs a little bit wide. Lubbers runs even wider. In fact, Lubbers has lost touch with this lead 3 at the moment as they dive down through turn 11, and Eduardo Kenyatta now is going to move up into 2nd position if he can keep this going down the straight.
No, he's going to pull back in. He's thinking better of it, but that lets Martinez lead by half a second from Palm, Kenyatta, Lubbers, Keithley and Ruskus and Keithley. And if Lubbers has got any sense, he'll hold up Ruskus and let Keithley back through again. But here comes Martin Palm blasting past Martinez for the lead, and that's going to put him right into the. Oh, as Kenyatta takes a big slide there in 3rd, but it's kind of almost like you're in the wrong place if you're leading down this back straight, because everyone will just pile in behind, and that has now allowed a 6-car battle for the lead. These pulled away from Melowish and 7, and how are they doing coming into that chicane? Ruskus has jumped past Kenyatta and is up into 4th position, and that's 1 more car between himself and Keithley, and this is what he needs to keep doing if he wants to keep his championship chances alive.
Absolutely, but crucially, Danny Lubbers got past Kenyatta as well, so Ruskus is still behind Kenyatta as they both pull out to try and look past Pablo Martinez down into turn 10. A bit of a lock-up from most people. Martinez is going very wide. He's in the grass. Jack Keithley's in the gravel.
Keithley.
Keithley's off.
Yep,
Keithley's off.
Keithley is in the gravel. He's still in 6th position, but now he's got Simon Melowish right up behind him. But Ruskus is still in a battle with Martinez, so Ruskus might be ahead, but he's in such an astonishing battle that he may well get punted off or something like that, because there's always a danger of that as Martinez goes very deep on the brakes. Well, this is going to be interesting to see now, because we've seen them catch up to each other quite quickly. You know, if they're in a slipstream, you can catch up quite quickly. So it's not all over for Keithley yet, but he's battling with Kenyatta in over 5th position.
Just off your screens, even Pons has had to pit for another front bumper, and Laurent Evanessi was punted off earlier on and has dropped to 16th. But this is where all the battle is up the front end, and Ruskus has got a couple of cars now between himself and Keithley, and Jack Keithley down in 6th position is now in a sandwich between Kenyatta, and Simon Melowish is now getting himself right into the thick of the action. So all kicking off here at WatkinsGlen, and we are on running lap 3 of 15. So it's time to start using the slipstream and trying to catch each other up, because Martin Palm is pulling away a lead, and once you drop 1.5 seconds off the back, which is what Lubbers has done, you then don't have that slipstream as stretched to try and suck yourself back up and catch back up. So Palm is now going to be waltzing off if these lot continue to squabble between themselves.
And how much does Lubbers want to catch up to Palm, or how much does Lubbers want to back the rest of the field in so Keithley can overtake? He's looking up the inside of Kenyatta down into turn 1, not quite close enough as Martinez runs a little bit wide up in front. I think Martinez was a little bit lucky to end up in the lead, because he's driving a little bit raggedly around the place at the moment, and now Kenyatta and Martinez are definitely going to get a slipstream on 4th place man Eduardo Kenyatta. RP McMurphy is out of this race, but that's a bump draft there from Kenyatta, and that's going to give Keithley a chance to get past both if he can just grab a slipstream. No, the bump drafting working very effectively for Martinez and Kenyatta as Keithley dives through the chicane now and out down into turn 9. You can almost take this flat out if you get your line right. And Keithley's hugging the inside a lot more. Kenyatta, these Kraken Motorsports guys, Kenyatta and Iglesias as well, they love to slide the car. And often it's not the quickest way around the circuit. And here they come, battling for 4th place. Through goes Kenyatta, up the inside, and he goes through, but he runs wide, and that's going to allow Martinez to come back, and he might get a run down the slipstream. Run down the straight, sorry.
He's been blocked off Kenyatta. They're doing great defensive driver to stop Martinez's switcheroo, but Martinez pulls back in aside again. I think this could well continue down into turn 1. He pulls out. Can he make the move stick? Looking good, but no, he's a bit too wobbly.
Sorry, Meluish went in really late on the brakes and punted Keithley up the back. Sorry to interrupt you there, but that's cost Keithley perhaps a second or so, because he's now a long way behind Pablo Martinez. I wonder if Meluish will bump draft him to say sorry, but it's Martinez and Canada for second place. Jeffrey Ruskus has just got past Danny Lubbers into braking for the chicane.
Absolutely mad. Just further back, 15th position, Henry Broeck and even Iglesias had a collision where Iglesias lost it into turn 1 and just T-boned Broeck, and that was unfortunate. Also, RP McMurphy lost his car and crashed out trying to go past Scott Giuliano, so those are our retirements now. However, Martin Palm leads by 1.5 seconds. Ruskus now into second, crucially for him. Lubbers trying to get that position back. He knows what this means for him, his team, and his teammate for the championship. Kenyatta is 4, Martinez 5. Meluish has dived down Keithley for 6 and 7, and Keithley cannot afford any more people getting past, and he knows it, and this is him alongside Meluish for 6th and 7th position. Can he make it stick down to turn 1? He's halfway alongside. Can he brake a little bit later? Yes, he can. He needs to take risks, but he doesn't need to take silly ones. He's pushing Meluish out wide onto the grass there. Meluish is not giving up. He wants his season to end on a high, and these two are going to be side by side for a very long time to come, Jack.
Great driving from Meluish, hang on around the outside, and now it's a simple drag race between the two setups, and they've got Daniel Beck right behind them, and Daniel Beck could take both of them as they head down the back straight. He pulls out to the inside as they head down into the chicane, and Beck is through past both of them. Disaster for Keithley, and he's just falling backwards and backwards in this race.
It's the ballast that's doing it, because he just can't do the complete attacks into corners, and therefore he's then getting just completely whipped down the straight, and then he can't attack back in the corners. Although he's having a go at Daniel Beck now. Just ahead, Danny Lubbers has passed Ruskus for second position off our screens as well, but Keithley bunches his way back past Beck, and if he can then just hold him off just into this turn 1, although Beck is all over him, practically being dragged along like a little tow bar, and Beck all over him, sniffing around his rear. Any more of that and he'll be accused of porking. But down the outside he's going to have a go at. Keithley drives defensive, and if he can just cut across he'll stop that, and Beck backs off sideways into it. Is he going to smack Patel? No, he doesn't. He collects it nicely, but that is one person out of the way for Keithley. Now he only has to deal with Meluish.
But Meluish is right up behind him, and all this battling means that he's now 3.2 seconds behind Canada in front of him. Here comes Simon Meluish in the English Racing Knights Templars car. He's going to squeeze Keithley to the inside as they head down into the chicane. I'll be impressed if Meluish can go right around the outside. He's going to give it a go, and he's done it. That could well be ballast, but also you got to give Meluish his due. That was a brave move. Keithley's not going to give up though, and there's battles all over the circuit. Let's look at the battle for second, because that's the closest. Ruskus and Lubbers, I don't know why I felt the need to repeat that, still side by side as they head down into turn 10. Ruskus back in front.
Only just for now, and I bet Meluish will have the Cheshire Cat smile going on for that move, but Ruskus has got his rear wing filled with a certain DHR car, and he'd be thankful that it's Lubbers and not Keithley, but Lubbers is cutting him no slack at all. What will he do down into turn 1? He pulls back in, he thinks better of it. It's much better. Oh, Patel is out. He's crashed out from 11th position, so there was no real surprise for that. But Lubbers pushes himself through, and Sawchuck's out with an engine failure as well. I bet them two have collided somewhere, but Lubbers has taken second position just for now. But Ruskus, once again, straight on the attack. You can switch and switch back around, but you've got to be the person who's in front down into this chicane, and then you've got the best chance of still being in front by the end of the lap. Down the outside there.
Yep, he's pulled it off, hasn't he? Lubbers and Ruskus still. It's interesting, they've You got Palm, and then you've got a group of 2, then another group of 2, and then another group of 2. So Keithley's made a mistake somewhere, actually, because he's dropped a little bit behind. But yeah, very Noah's Ark. But here comes Lubbers then. Back up the inside of Ruskus, surely, as they head down into turn 10. Got the inside line. The Cadillac's going to be forced to go right there on the outside. He's going to try and get the cut back, and it's all going to be about momentum into the final corner. Or is he going to go up the inside into the final corner? Risky move. It's a good job. Danny Lubbers saw him coming, but Ruskus is back into second. We are on lap 8 now of this, onto lap 9, I should say. So we're over halfway through this distance, this race.
Oh, Daniel Beck has just smacked Randu Muru for 11th and 12th positions. Daniel Beck is out of the race. Muru has been able to continue. So they are guys, and Sawchuk crashed out trying to avoid Patel's wreck. So we are down to just 12 runners and riders now. And we don't have time to really take a look through the orders. Here comes Lubbers with his latest missile attack down the outside in a battle for second and third place, and Sheer out dragging him down the outside there, and that must be slightly ballast related. No, BMWs and Cadillacs have different settings and so on and so forth, but wow, this WatkinsGlen circuit and just the cars in general really makes some fantastic action here this evening.
Well, Simon and Jack, can I actually say something which would be tactically related with Lubbers and the Ruskus thingy?
Say it then, yes.
If you must.
If Lubbers is thinking evil, and he is a Belgian driver, I guess, so he must be. If he wants to help Keithley, he might be doing this a lot more, like switchbacks, doing all these switcheroos, like you say, Simon. And he might want to keep doing that, so he near the end of the race, he's gonna try and piss off, or going to try to make Ruskus a bit pissed, and going to make Ruskus bite his lips, and going to see if he can make Ruskus push for a second place, and maybe Ruskus will make a mistake.
Absolutely, that's a definite possibility as we see Lubbers go back in front down into the chicane. I presume you mean pissed in the sense of angry rather than alcoholically intoxicated, but Ruskus and Lubbers then are side by side through turn 9. Lubbers will be frustrating Ruskus, no doubt, but he'll know that by now Jack Keithley is so far behind that he's got no chance of holding the pack up enough. So they're going to play it fair. That's obvious. Lubbers is not going to ram Ruskus off the road because the DHR Simcraft boys are not like that at all. But if Lubbers can get under Ruskus's skin, if Lubbers can frustrate Ruskus, then I think what you're saying could be absolutely right, Marco, as here comes Ruskus again down into turn 1. Lubbers is going to try and hang on around the outside. Oh, really squeezes him there, doesn't he? But they're going to be side by side once more. Jack Keithley has dropped quite a way back from Meliwish, but they are both closing in on Cañada and Martinez. But it's this second place battle, side by side once more.
Absolutely, as 10th place Scott Giuliano is just disconnected, so that brings us down to 11 riders and riders, as Lubbers taking a different line here down the inside. He's had outside runs all the last couple of laps, and Ruskus is going to try and squeeze him. This is going to be too much of a little bit of a love nudge and rubbing against each other, and I suppose Ruskus has nothing to lose. He is the man behind. He might as well just take out or pull out all the stops. It's Keithley that's the man that's got to drive, protecting something. So it might as well be that Keithley might stay behind Meliwish. He's dropped back 4 tenths at the moment, and maybe he's now driving to make sure that he can stay within a certain points distance. Of course, the sprint race has much less points awarded to it than the big feature race itself, so it might be wise for Keithley to just hold back, see what happens, and with Lubbers now a whole 1.2 seconds behind Ruskus, Ruskus may well have made the break free from that, and Lubbers actually falling closer into the Cañada and Martinez squabble that's been going on all race as well.
Absolutely, although Keithley has caught back up to Meliwish a little bit, so Keithley won't want to sit behind Simon. I mean, at least here there's plenty of room for overtaking. You know, it's not like Trois Rivières where if you make a move, you're going to die. Here, there's plenty of overtaking for opportunities, and here comes the battle for 6th position down towards the chicane. Meliwish and Keithley, by far the two closest drivers on the circuit at the moment. Keithley a little bit earlier on the brakes. Oh, Meliwish has run very wide there. I thought he was going to hit one of those anti-cuts. Just a note on those anti-cuts. Respect to Alex Sawchuk for that, because originally they were massive concrete walls, but he's just put little anti-cuts on there that'll slow you down, but won't kill you. Keithley isn't going to be. He's in the slipstream of Meliwish, but it could be the weight, it could be the gearing. He's not quite able to close in as much as he would be able to if he had no ballast.
Absolutely, as they come out onto the final straight, and they're to start lap 12 of 15, or complete lap 12 of 15, so we are going to go full race distance, and here he comes down into turn 1. This is his best move so far, completely in front of him before they even get to the corner, pushes Meliwish out slightly wide and takes the position away. Now he's just got to drive defensively enough to make sure he stays ahead for that chicane, and then he may be able to start pulling out 1 or 2 tenths of a second as Martinez has fallen back from Kenyatta up front. And if those two continue to squabble, the Meliwish and Keithley battle, because they've not been swapping positions quite so much, is actually slowly and gingerly closing back in on them. But I don't think Meliwish is done yet, as he takes a little peekaboo. Thinks better of it for the chicane, and as Martinez just ahead, nearly off into the grass, just as Meliwish is behind, and any more like that, Martinez and Keithley might find himself in the battle for 5th.
Absolutely, and that'd be perfect from Keithley's point of view. After this race, I'll add up the standings and see where we lie going into the final round, but yeah, it's difficult for Keithley because there's just into that chicane, especially, there's no way to defend. We've seen Meliwish can go around the outside, he can come up the inside. You know, Keithley, it's all about making sure you're in the right place at the right time, i.e. you're ahead going into the final corner. That's about the only way you can do it. If you're behind starting the final lap, that could possibly be a good thing, and we are almost there because this is now the penultimate lap that they're starting. Martin Palm, we haven't mentioned, but he's got a 6.4 second lead out at the front. He's running consistently in the mid 1 minute 12, so this is a solid performance from Palm, who of course was challenging strongly for the championship last season. In fact, did he win it? I can't remember.
Quite possibly, but it's been a commanding challenge, as there's Jack Keithley going into 5th position past Pablo Martinez before they even get down the outside. Seems to be the favoured move, because then you can kind of cut across and you've misplaced the person for the next part of that chicane, and Keithley there is another couple of points into his advantage over Ruskus, so it's damage limitation coming to the best degree there for Keithley as we've approached the final lap. Just 11 runners and riders behind this little 7-car battle. Even Iglesias is 8, Lauren Evanessi is 9, Randy Maru 10, and even Pons 11, and those are your runners and riders so far. And let's see what Keithley can do down this home straight, as Martinez very, very wide, barely missing the wall there, and I think that could well have ended any kind of challenge for Keithley, for Keithley's 5th position. And with Ruskus still keeping Lubbers at bay, this could well be a nice formation-y finish after what has been an absolutely breathtaking sprint race here, Jack.
I don't think he did miss the wall, to be honest, Simon. I think he gave it a nice big hard clout, and that showed the deficit that the Volvos have in a straight line in a slipstream. We're going to see it here in this battle for 6th position, because Meliwish, maybe not then, he's just going to cruise towards the back of Pablo Martinez, but he's not going to be close enough. So Keithley coming home in 5th, he'll be pleased with that, but Jeffrey Ruskus from 5th on the grid to take 2nd, he will be pleased with that, no, unquestionably. And like I say, when the race ends, I'll do the maths while you talk about switcheroos, and we'll find out what's happening. Battle for 6th very quickly. Pablo Martinez is about to come under pressure from Simon Meliwish, but Martin Palm wins the sprint race.
Certainly does indeed, and that's a fantastic win. Only took him 18 minutes as well, so that was a quickie, and by 7 seconds as well, so a good start of the finale for Martin Palm. Ruskus takes a fantastic 2nd. Danny Lubbers comes home 3rd, just 7 tenths behind, with Eduardo Kenyatta 4. Jack Keithley held on for 5th, as did Pablo Martinez in 6th, by just 0.08 of a second.
Well, I tell
Simon
you what,
Meliwish.
He tried to be all clever and do one of those, spinneroos across the line. He swapped the back end up, but he did it a bit early, so he went across the line sideways, and Meliwish almost nicked the position from him.
I've just spied the replay. That's actually one of the most unique finishes I've seen to someone in a race so far. So hats off to Pablo for finesse, 10 marks for empathy, 8 for style. Even Iglesias came home 8th. He was bundled out very early on when he collected Henry Broeck down into turn 1. Iglesias completely lost the car and just T-boned the poor guy out. Laurent Evanessi came home, or Evanes, however you pronounce that, is 9th after a relatively quiet afternoon. Random Miru 10, 1 lap down after being hit by, I've forgotten who it was actually, Daniel Beck. 11th and crashing all on his own on the formation lap and on the opening lap was Even Pons in our last finisher. Retirements were Scott Giuliano, disconnection lap 9. Daniel Beck crashed out into Random Muru, lap 7. Mohammed Patel crashed out into the pit wall, lap 6. Alex Sorchuk crashed out in avoidance and then blew his engine of Patel. Henry Broeck was taken out at turn 1 on lap 4, and RP McMurphy binned it into the second last corner on lap 2. And those were your starters for today.
Okay, so we're getting reports from Marco Vandenbroek. Although his microphone is dodgy, his maths is amazing, and apparently there are 31 points separating Keithley and Ruskus. Marco, did you include the fastest lap that Ruskus got in that race?
No, I didn't include the fastest lap, but if... how many points is the fastest lap anyway?
2. It appears I may have ruined Marco's calculations there.
Then we get them down to 29 points, which would be okay, I guess.
Marco's brain has fizzed.
We'll still need a 6th place. We'll still need a 1-7 first and 7th. First for Ruskus, of course.
Excellent stuff. So that means that as we approach the final feature of Season 8 of GRC, everything's still very, very open to play for, and with all the amount of slipstreaming and the fact that we had a breakaway team of 7 cars in that sprint race, it is perfectly possible for Mr. Ruskus to be on top and Mr. Keithley to be where he was for most of that race, down in 7th and at the bottom of that little tete. So it's definitely possible, and if you get the likes of Iglesias not binning it and so on and so forth, and Daniel Beck we also saw was getting right in on the action, there's a room for all kinds of shenanigans in this feature race, which is going to be 30 laps, which will definitely come before 40 minutes. And of course you've got the mandatory stop to come as well. So plenty of action for here. And just actually, while we've got a spare minute or two, I'd just like to thank everyone for tuning in for Division 1 Season 8. I've had an absolute fantastic time and felt very privileged to be your commentator for this series, and long may it run. I've really enjoyed GRC, and if you want to come along and join in the fun, pop over to a certain website called rfgrc.co.uk, sign yourself up and get chatting to us all. Great bunch of people, great load of racing, and couldn't recommend it more. 2 thumbs up. And just actually, while we've got a quick break, let me talk about all of the other stuff that we've got going on. Because it's not just the Season 8 GRC, which is slowly coming to an end as we all cry and have a celebratory beer, no doubt. You've got next Monday, where the Division 2 lot finish off their season. Then you've also got rallies going on as well tomorrow. a little mini cross rally. So if you like your that mini cross thingamy bob, one of those. It's cars in dirts with little Mini Coopers. How much more do you want? They're good fun. Come along for those. They're on a Wednesday. And then you've got the Porsche Super Cup, which was attended by over 30. Was it over 30 people? I don't know. I was generally last in it. I was a bit dramatic and traumatic experience for me. But that was great fun. And recommend you to all come for that on Thursday, as Jack knows so well, because he's helping run that with English Racing Nights man Simon Millush. So, do you want to give that a little plug, Jack?
Yeah, I'm not actually helping run it, but I'll pretend I am. Simon Meliush has organised it, and it's Monza this Thursday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend, which is a little bit gutting. But the Porsche Super Cup, if you haven't tried it, it's an absolutely brilliant mod. They're surprisingly drivable. I don't know how you found them, Simon, but they're fairly drivable, aren't they?
Yeah, for all the type of Porsche cars that I've driven over time. I'm thinking of like the GT2s in the endurance mods and stuff like that. Just kind of you get in the car and you think, oh my god! But actually, compared to that, they were very drivable, and those kind of cars that you can just kind of sling about a little bit. So yeah, good fun to be had with that. So come in and join the action with that. And we've also got the 12 hours of Live at Glen on the 19th of June. So if you do like your endurance racing, as you might have seen. As you might enjoy it running around for hours and hours on end. We've got a test race on the 9th of June, and then the actual real event takes place on the 19th. So come along and enjoy that. So plenty of different cars, action and fun for you to get stuck in on over at Gentleman's Racing Club, and the more the merrier. Come in and join in the fun.
Absolutely, so we're going to be moving to the next qualifying session. Now, this will, of course, involve fuel, and on a quick circuit like this, fuel won't hurt you quite as much. So we may see some drivers filling up with quite a heavy tank and relying on the slipstream to keep them in contention. But having not tested much here, I don't think the tyres are going to be much of an issue at all, really, because, well, they're all fast corners, but none of them really dig in. What do you think, Marco?
I think for the Battle of the Championship, Keithley is going to want to maybe fill it up to the end, or fill it and then go to the end of the race and just fill it up a slightly bit more. As you said, the tires aren't wearing this much, so we just spent like 6-7 seconds in the pits and then goes. And then he will hope for the fact that Danny Lubbers is going to fight with Jeffrey Ruskus again, and hoping that Danny will quietly battle with Ruskus and nuke Ruskus' tires. That would be the best strategy in an evil way.
Yep, that's a good point. It's going to be Ruskus. Ruskus is going to struggle to win this race, I think. He's fast, that's unquestionable, but whether he's got the outright pace to win this race against the likes of Martin Palm, against the likes of Eduardo Cañada, I'm not entirely sure. But Keithley has every chance of... I'm building this up here, you know. I'm trying to build the championship excitement.
Drumroll!
Keithley, exactly. Keithley has every opportunity to spin or to be hit. We know how amazing Jack Keithley is at crashes. We've seen him upside down at Jerez. We've seen him upside down at St. Petersburg. You know, he's a good crasher, so there's always the chance he's going to bin it somewhere.
Well, if he wants to go out in style, this might as well be the best place to do it, and go out in flames. However, also, Jeffrey Ruskus has absolutely nothing to lose. He's almost uncatchable for second overall in the championship, so you might as well throw all caution to the wind and just go hell for leather for it, to be quite honest. My own... If I was
battling
either
for
of
a
them,
championship,
yes. If I was ever battling for last place in a championship, wouldn't ever hear that you wouldn't ever hear that sentence ever again. If my little brain was in one of their brains, then I would fill my car up with as much fuel as possible, because your fuel would be negated by the slipstreaming. So you could just cling on to everyone else, and by the time everyone else has stopped for tyres and done their mandatory stops and got on with it, you will then not have that slipstream effect, so you'll be running potentially slower, whereas you've then been able to sit back, relax, and then you can go along with your lower fuel and potentially make better laps. But what do I know? I'm just a rubbish commentator. On with qualification for the feature race, methinks.
You're not a rubbish commentator, Simon. You're just a rubbish driver, but a good commentator. Yeah, exactly. Those that can't do, talk about it. So RP McMurphy is the first man out on circuit. Where is RP in the championship? Let me have a little look. He has struggled a little this season to get to grips with both the rear-wheel drive and with the pace in Division 1. RP is lying... Oh, sorry RP, 36th in the championship. He has had
That's all right.
no top 10 finishes. But he's picked up 7 points, and I wish I hadn't brought that up. I'm really sorry if you're watching RP, but he's making his way around the final corner now. He had a strong qualifying first time out, 13th position on the grid, so let's see what he can do in this race qualifying. So he heads down into turn 1 now. He's going to stamp on the brakes about 250 metres, or yards probably, because we're in America, before the corner. Runs very, very wide. The outside... Oh! Sideways from RP. Does very well to hold that indeed. I was going to say the outside of turn 1 is very slippery indeed. And if you get out on there, then you're in real danger of piling into the tyre wall. But McMurphy's done it pretty nicely and very stylishly, we have to say, as he heads up towards the chicane.
Yeah, it was good car control there by RP McMurphy. Of course, if he's able to keep it on the track, which he didn't do in this first race, he's going to be guaranteed points, which will do no end of help to his points tally so far. So he might want to go for a conservative race and less of those stylish but slightly race-threatening shenanigans that he was getting up to in turn 1. But it's all looking nice and tidy from now on for RP McMurphy as he comes into the first couple of corners. Let's see where this benchmark time pops him in.
Yep, he's heading into the gravel there, though. The exit of... Oh, mind that wall! That was close. Oh, but he's gone into the other one. That's a disaster for RP. And through goes Laurent Evanise then. He's going to be the first man to cross the line. He buggered up the chicane by hitting the anti-cuz on the inside. So he comes across with a 15.5. So the first 2 drivers across the line haven't done very nicely. So Evanise is...
There. Oh God, a word from down below from some weird minion. Martin Palm in 7th position is popping across the line, and he takes provisional pole with a 1:13.105, and that sets a certain benchmark. Lap time slightly slower this time bound because they're probably more fat with fuel, and that then means Jack Keithley is yet to take to the track. And where is a certain Jeffrey Ruskus? He's not out there either. Daniel Beck in 17th position was very fast in the race 1, and that's too much grass on that one. Does very well to save that. Patel doing the same thing in the background there, Jack.
Well, he was very fast in Sector 1 as well, was Daniel Beck. He was less than half a tenth down on Martin Palm's time, but unfortunately he's dropped 7 tenths of a second down after that little misdemeanor on the exit of turn 9. So as he sweeps through turn 11, oh, he's going to hit the wall there. So, no, don't abandon it. Don't abandon it. Ah,
I think that was unintentional.
Yeah, but perhaps. But if he'd just crawled across the line, he would have been in front of the people that have already wrecked on their opening lap. So that's a shame for Daniel, because that was going to be good. Eduardo Cañado in 12th position has just taken provisional pole position. He goes ahead of Martin Palm by half a tenth of a second. So good qualifying again from Eduardo Cañado. Who's the next quickest man we have out there? Danny Lovers, 20th position, is on a flying lap. He's 4.5 tenths up on Eduardo Cañado's time as he exits out onto the back straight. This could be just what DHR Simcraft need. Let's see his next sector split. He's only 3 tenths up on Eduardo Cañado, but it's a direct fight now between DHR Simcraft and Kraken Motorsports, the 2 leading constructors who are battling for that title too. So as he sweeps down into turn 11, takes it very nicely, drops down into 4th gear, hard on the power on the apex. Good driving here from Danny Lubbers. He's going to come across the line to do a 1:12.5, half a second quicker than Eduardo Cañado.
That's fantastic. That lays down the gauntlet and says, take that, Kraken.
Yeah. Sorry.
As we have Randy Muru popping into 6th position. And who else is out and about? Jack Keithley is out on track in P9, just gearing himself up for his hot lap, so he's going to be the first one to blink. And
10th. Okay, I'll go. 10th position, Ivan Iglesias.
After you.
Thank you. Is rounding the final corner now. Ivan is he's now almost a second down on Danny Lubbers as he crosses the line to go a second down and 4th position with a 1:13.6. Actually, that's not too bad a lap, but you'd expect Ivan to be a little bit quicker. To be perfectly honest, perhaps he's got ballast in. I can't remember, but I don't think he has because he didn't have a great Trois Rivières, so not quite hooked up this season for Ivan Iglesias.
No, his 10th place Jack Keithley comes down the back straight. Even Iglesias has 19 kilograms of weight penalty. Jack Keithley has 41, Randy Murray 29, as does Kenyatta. Ruskus 28, Pons 16, and Palm 13. And Sawchuk 1, although I don't think that's really going to affect too much. It's just like he's had a fat breakfast. As here comes Keithley out into the last bit of sections in that corner. He was not taking all of the racing track for that, so he's keeping himself very much within the confines of the white lines.
Keithley only being 4/10 down on the last sector there, going good through the last corner, topping it up. Let's see if he can go, and he goes only 4/10 down on Lubbers there. Might be a good strategy, might be light. I think he's going light.
Well, he's gone into second position. That's where he's gone. Very impressive. Jeffrey Ruskus, though, currently in 18th place, is quicker than Keithley in the first and second sector. So he exits out of turn 9. Are these two going to be side by side on the grid once more? He's going to come through the final sector split here. He's only a 10th down on Danny Lubbers. If Ruskus can hook up the final sector, he is going to take provisional second on the grid, and then there's no one out on circuit that can rob it from him, I don't think. So Jeffrey Ruskus now out of turn 11 in a qualifying session that could be absolutely crucial for the GRC Division 1 Championship. Takes second position away. 12.7, 1 minute 12.75. So it's Danny Lubbers on pole. So Ruskus is in a DHR sandwich.
Well,
there we go. I can only think of one thing. Lubbers slamming his foot down on the grid, taking Keithley with him in the right line, going back to the back straight to the chicane, and tossing Ruskus out of his slipstream. That's what they need to do. That's everything what they need to do. Just toss Ruskus out of the slipstream.
I tell you what though, sorry to interrupt you there, Marco, but 12th position, before we jump to conclusions, Henri Viroc is absolutely flying on this lap. He's exiting the final corner now, currently in 12th. This could put him on the front row of the grid if he hooks it up right. He's gone 3rd, not quite, but he splits the two championship leaders.
That could be quite crucial, actually.
It was a nice idea though, Marco, and well, that's very impressive from Henri Viroc. As we said, it's only his second GRC meeting. He competed in the last race at Trois Rivières. So that is the qualifying completed, is it? It is indeed. Yeah, with 1 minute 10 seconds left on the clock. That's a bit of a surprise. So, well, we've just got to wait now for the race, really.
And what a race we've got in store for us. Danny Lubbers there on pole position with Jeffrey Ruskus alongside, and that could give him a nice clear run down into turn 1 and potentially give him the lead of the race if he can. Henri Viroc, the blackjack in the pack, starts 3rd for Toronto Motorsports with Jack Keithley 4. Kenyatta was 5, Palm 6, Iglesias 7, Sawchuk 8, so a much better qualifying second time out for him. Patel 9, didn't crash it. Randy Murray 10, with Martinez, Evanessi, or Evanice, whichever one you would like to be preferred. I'm thinking Nice Biscuits. RP McMurphy 13 ahead of Meloish, who binned it actually coming out of the final chicaney corner thing. I think it's turn 10, and didn't hit one wall, he hit 2, so special congrats to Simon there. Also not making it round the lap again, even Pons, and we saw Daniel Beck bin it as well, so if they keep their cool they'll be on for points, but all of our eyes and attention will be focused on two men in particular. In the left we have Jeffrey Ruskus, the man on a mission to show that he can certainly take the win down to the very last minute. And Jack Keithley, the defensive man in the right. I know, exciting stuff, quaking in my boots. I might have to quickly run for a nervous wee beforehand, and I'm not even in the car. And Jack Keithley in the right-hand side is going to be getting his groove on to see how he can get on and finally win his first GRC title after coming so close not too long ago.
Simon, correct me if I'm an idiot, but did we see what happened to Simon Meluish?
In qualification?
Yeah.
Nose, but I was watching him because he was running right behind Keithley, I think it was, or Ruskus, and he crashed it out on that second to last corner where everyone keeps running wide, smacking one wall and then spinning across and smacking the other. And there's been a couple of people do that in qualification and in the race as well, so that seems to be the preferred place to crash.
Yeah, well, he's another fast guy then, starting down in 14th place, but we've and Daniel Beck too, we must remember. So it's going to be a very interesting race indeed. We've only got 2.5 minutes to go before the race gets underway. As I said, 30 laps or 40 minutes, whichever comes first. We reckon we'll get the 30 laps in, but with a mandatory pit stop, and that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be extra tactical because, as we say, slipstreaming is going to be key and crucial. That was what I was trying to say. And I know, being ridiculed by the cameraman. And yes, strategy is key, and of course, depending on where you emerge onto the track and who you are around is going to be crucial as to how far and up and down the kind of gaggle of cars that are at the front is going to see your race come to an end or not. So
Pablo Martinez, another man to be a little disappointed with his qualifying. He's down in 12th position. We saw him cause chaos in the first race because of his fast starting Volvo. He was in the lead by the time they got to turn 1, but he won't be able to repeat that here today as they all practice their pit entry. Evanise and Kenyatta very strong on the entrance to the pit lane. Laurent Evanise a little less so, but it's just going to be a fascinating race. I can't wait. Marco has done the stats, and apparently rumour is that if Ruskus wins and Keithley finishes 7th, 40, yeah, that might just do it. But we've got to remember fastest lap. It's going to be so close to call unless it's obvious.
Well, guys, I'm just seeing. Well, one of them is Ruskus is starting in 2nd and Keithley is in 4th. So, and there's no really, not really a good starter or a better starter than them being able to get them on the first lap. So, yeah, we need Ruskus to remind you, stay calm on stay calm on that start and see what if Keithley does the same. Just stay calm and see what happens. It's a long race. All the DHL guys have to do too is just work together because, yeah, it's just gonna be pretty exciting right there.
So it's a battle between Jeffrey Ruskus from the Netherlands and Jack Keithley from Suffolk, from Ipswich to be more precise, in the United Kingdom. It's a so it's going to be a fascinating race.
Sorry to interrupt there, Marco. I've just had a quick whisper from Eduardo Cunhada from Kraken Motorsports, and he says both Kraken drivers have filled up with full tanks of fuel, and they won't be changing tyres. So we don't think tyre wear was particularly a big issue here anyway, but it's interesting that they've decided to go for that route. So they are literally going to just come in, stop, get straight on the accelerator and back out again. And I wonder how many other drivers are trying that kind of tactic here today.
Yeah, very interesting tactic actually. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
field, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
I love that rFactor voice.
He's a nice man, isn't he? So, we are about
A very nice man.
Yeah, sorry to cut across you there, Simon. The weight penalties are added. 20 seconds to go until the final race of this GRC Division 1 Season 8 season. We've got Division 2 coming up next week, of course. Don't miss that, because that'll be a cracker. But this race is going to be very tactical, very exciting, and hopefully very exciting. That was a lame introduction, wasn't it?
That was lamer than my sex life. Anyway, Danny Lovers is on pole position. Well, limp lettuce. Danny Lovers is on pole for DHR Simcraft Fiat DMW. You told me no innuendos. It's not going to end a season without no innuendos. Jeffrey Ruskus, second position, ready to yoink the championship down to the wire for 05 Motorsports. Third on the grid, Henry Virock, Torrent Motorsports in a Lexus. Jack Keithley, fourth for DHR Simcraft. Eduardo Cunhada will be starting fifth for Kraken. And remember, it's DHR vs Kraken for the constructors, and that's far from resolved either. Digital Racing Team, 6th position with Martin Palm. Ivan Iglesias in the second. Kraken Motorsports is 7th with Alex Sorchuk running 8th. Mohamed Patel, 9 in the DHR Apex, not to be confused with the other two. Randy Murrow in the BMW courtesy car, aka Backmarker Brigade, rounding out the top 10, Jack.
11th place then, Pablo Martinez. Strange, I thought I said him in 12 earlier, but 12th is Laurent Ebenis in the ISI racing team. The ISI obviously busy working on rFactor 2, which hopefully, incidentally, will be what we will be running our next GRC Season 9 on, with any luck. So, that's that. 13th, RP McMurphy in the English Racing Knights Templars. 14th, Simon Meluish in the English Racing Knights Templars. 15th for Ivan Pons. Independent 758. 16th position to Daniel Beck, and 17th position to Scott Giuliano. So we saw him disconnect halfway through, early laps of the first race, something like that. He'll be hoping. He's a quick guy, and Scott Giuliano is absolutely astonishing on the brakes. I don't know what the hell he does under braking, but he leaves his braking until he's literally past the corner.
Oh well, I'm quite glad I've signed him up for next season then, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Might go and ruin my team name. But here we are, getting ready for the grid. And as Martin Brundle's saying, they're taking an awful long time to line up there. Come on, hurry up. Stick a broom up your exhaust and wipe the floor while you're at it. But here we are, Lubbers on the left. In the orange car, Ruskus all in silver on the right hand side against the pit wall. Who will make it first down to turn 1? We are go for the feature race one last time, season 8 for GRC here at WatkinsGlen, and Ruskus is not away well at all. Lubbers is away perfectly and is going to yoink the lead by quite some way. Ruskus is having to go defensive on Virock, and look at Keithley steaming through into third position, and that's going to push Virock out wide. Can Virock hold it? Yes he can, and look at Cunhada trying to get up alongside as well, but Keithley taking all the risks that he needed to do, plus a little bit more to try and get one position through and make sure that his championship is a little bit better, as Cunhada four-wheel drift just behind, and Iglesias has moved up into 6 as well. As here they come into the back straight here, Jack.
They're all ganging up on Ruskus though. Virock is through into second. Keithley's going to try and follow him as they come into the braking zone. Virock through into second place. Lubbers leads. Virock second. Ruskus and Keithley together in third and fourth. If it stays like this for the rest of the race, which I doubt it will, then it will be Keithley's title. But as they exit onto the back straight, Ruskus has got a great run through turn 9 and will peel to the outside now for the next corner at turn 10. Surprised he didn't dart for the inside. He's obviously confident he can hang it on all the way around there, but he's not going to be able to. That's going to leave the door open for Keithley to get a better run through turn 10. Now down into turn 11. Keithley switches very wide. This is the battle for second place that we're watching. Danny Lubbers has buggered off up the road, but now Ruskus versus Virock versus Keithley versus Iglesias versus Cunhada and Martin Palm in there too. Look at this long train heading down into turn 1. Are any of them going to attempt an overtake? No, they all stay line astern through there.
Even Pons was our only casualty on lap 1, but he has got back going again after a small spin in the chicane. But Henry Virock is not got the immediate pace that what he did in qualification, and Ruskus and Keithley are practically bumping him down the road to try and get some clear air. And if Keithley's careful, he might be able to pull from one slipstream across to another. Have the pair run out of road to do it though, and Virock Ruskus, Keithley, Kenyatta, Iglesias and Palm side by side out the chicane. Sawchuk up to 8 with Martinez, and Meloish up into 10 from 14, so good start from him. And everyone running in one big long line as Ruskus once again on the attack for Broeck, looking to the outside to try and displace Broeck so that he can maybe have a lunge through down into the final corner, because he'll come out with a better exit. Broeck runs wide onto the grass, as does Kenyatta behind, and that has allowed Keithley up into 4th position to get a little bit of a gap, so he can now focus on Broeck as Ruskus made the move on Henry, and the Torrent Motorsports driver is about to be tumbled down another position if Keithley feels a little bit challenged early, but he thinks better of it and decides the chicane may be the next place for the move.
Well, we've seen since Bahrain the Lexus drivers have been whinging about having no straight line speed.
Sorry to interrupt you. Mohammed Patel, 15th position, upside down. I know it's not championship commutations, but Mohammed does like to get his crash into the race, and lets him out of the race now.
Yep, that was quite a good one there from Mohammed Patel, but back up the front, what is going on? I've lost them for a moment. It's Keithley still behind Broeck as they head down into turn 9. Keithley has a little look up the inside. Kenyatta has been absolutely mighty through turn 9. He keeps catching up to them, and now he's right up behind Keithley. Keithley now in a bit of trouble because he's got Kenyatta on his right, Broeck on his right as well. Your left as we look down at the corner. And Keithley hangs on the inside. He's going to push Kenyatta wide, gets in the gravel. Kenyatta's going to hit the wall. No, he's not. He just about avoids it. That's going to fall him back into the path of Iglesias. Now, I wonder, these Kraken boys, are they going to need to take care of their tyres? I know tyres aren't an issue, but if people are changing tyres, then they're going to get a lot more speed out of them, I'd imagine.
And that has ruined it for Iglesias as Palm smacks Kenyatta for 5th and 6th position. And Palm is trying to bundle out the two Kraken guys who are busy trying to upset each other's rhythm. And of course these two battling, slipping down the order is giving the swing of momentum to DHR in the Team Constructors Championship as well, because Iglesias did not feature particularly in the sprint race, and he now needs to be much more prominent if they want to continue their kind of ascent into the championship winning position for the teams. And look at Alex Sawchuk getting in on the action there in 8th position too, as Iglesias retakes Palm for what is currently 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th positions. Just ahead of them, Jack Keithley in 12th position is just about to take 3rd from Broeck, and that was a good clean move there down the inside, and Broeck straight on the attack down for the last couple of corners.
I expect Keithley to pull away, but Broeck's going to lunge up the insides. Keithley's sideways. Is he spinning? Yes, he is. It almost hits the wall. Incredible. Iglesias goes through. Palm nearly went through. Kenyatta almost goes through as well. Almost a disaster there for Keithley. I just heard a smash against the wall. It's Alex Sawchuk and Pablo Martinez are out of this race. But Jack Keithley, that was so close to being his championship over.
It absolutely is. There's a mess going on behind. Daniel Beck's just collected Martinez. Martinez is out. Beck is going. Sawchuk is in the pits. But that is the kind of thing that Keithley did not want to happen. And now look at him in a Palm and Kenyatta sandwich. And he's got to kind of keep his cool and stay where he is, because Lubbers is doing the team job and he has got P1 by 3.2 seconds. He is away with it as he's just pulled out another 4/10 in the last sector alone as Keithley dive bombs past Palm for 5th position. Keithley can stay in 7th position and not have trouble, which is exactly where this kind of battle ends. But knowing Jack Keithley, he won't be settled with that at all, and he won't play the percentage game. He will want to go out on a high, and but he's just got to make sure that every risk he takes is a calculated one, not a driver's heart in mouth one, as Kenyatta dives around the outside of Palm there in a great move for 6th and 7th just behind him.
And I'm not sure 7th is completely safe, because you get 2 points here, or 1 point. Let me just check. It's 2 or 1 points for the fast. 2 points, yeah, for fastest lap, and you get a point for leading a lap as well. So I think 1st and 7th for Keithley would be a little bit too close for his liking. He's going to want to hold on to that 5th position if he can. Ruskus isn't closing in on Danny Lubbers. In fact, he's slower than Lubbers, I think. So Lubbers has got this one under control. But here comes Kenyatta now on Keithley for 5th position. Kenyatta's looking to the outside. They have got Martin Palm still in close company. They're going to go side by side into the chicane. Keithley's coming across to squeeze Kenyatta. Keithley early on the brakes. He knows he doesn't want to take any stupid risks as Kenyatta gets very sideways. Now Kenyatta's been strong through this turn 9 all day long. Watch as he really almost drives away from Keithley a little bit here. And they're all closing in on Henry Broeck, who just made a mistake. But Palm is coasting up to the back of Keithley now. Lights flashing from Keithley. Headlights on
Keithley's
from
coming in, I
Keithley.
guess.
Is he coming into the pits then? Why?
Maybe he's picked
Yes,
up
he's
damage
coming in,
from
he's
that
coming in.
little... Yeah, maybe he's picked up damage from when he scraped that wall and he's thinking, let's just get out of this hot-headed action so that I can get the pit stop done and out the way. And it's just as well, actually, because the Giuliano, Evanese and Muru battle for 8, 9 and 10, which have now all moved up a place, have all kind of closed in half a second on that last lap and were slowly eating into that battle. Pablo Martinez has just left the race as well. And let's see where Keithley's going to pull out. It's going to be in clear air. RP McMurphy's too far behind, I think, to cause any trouble, and that will be nice clear air for Keithley.
It's a very long pit lane. Gary Gray just remarking to us that it was a long pit lane, and Keithley in then. This is a long stop, isn't it, Simon?
It certainly is. The battle for
Taking
third,
tires.
fourth and fifth is going to be crashing out soon as well, so we might as well be best off out of it, because in Iglesias, Broeck and Cañada all smacked each other in the chicane. So and Iglesias was actually side by side. RP McMurphy's just crashed out from 13th.
Sorry, Broeck, you could see that a million miles away. Henry Broeck was going to smack into the side of Ivan Iglesias, and he did. But Iglesias manages to hold on to it. But now Cañada and Palm are right behind him. So as they head down into turn 1, it's a three-way battle for 4th position now. 3rd is still within their grasp. Broeck goes late on the brakes. Cañada perhaps a little nudge there on the rear. Palm drops back a little bit. But are they all going to slipstream, and Concertina up now betwined? Not a word. Behind Ivan Iglesias. Broeck is now behind Iglesias. Pulls out to one side. Cañada's going to get a toe off both of them. Cañada's going to be in 3rd by the end of this straight. That's my prediction.
I don't know, he's been bundled out. Broeck is boxing in Cañada, and Iglesias is playing the other side as they go side by side again. This is exactly what happened last lap, except Broeck smacked Iglesias. This time he drives Iglesias round the outside. Fantastic move into 3rd position by the Torrent Motorsports guys. These 4 are dropping about 3 or 4 tenths of a second per sector off of Danny Lubbers and Jeffrey Ruskus, and all the time Jack Keithley is holding the same gap between them. So if Keithley can keep this kind of pace going and these 4 continue to squabble and bitch slap each other, as they're doing again with Iglesias, Cañada and Palm, all having what is quite frankly the biggest ding-dong that they've had all season, and some of the best racing I've seen in sim racing, full stop. Keithley is going to be lapping this up because he is going to have clear air and potentially could come through and just breeze past them by the time they've all pitted and come back out again, providing that works for Keithley.
Well, Keithley has actually taken a fresh set of tires, most likely, and not that much of fuel, so I guess he's filled up to the end from the beginning on. And he is losing some time though, but that might be because he's a bit heavier than the rest at this moment.
Well, no, because remember, the Kraken Motorsport guys told us they are fully fueled and not changing tyres, so that could come back to bite Keithley as they make their way around turn 9. Surely now they're all just going to cruise up to Broeck, and Broeck knows it. Look at him in 3rd position, trying to break the toe from the 2 Kraken Motorsports Spaniards as they head down into turn 10. Not close enough. Palm sweeps in behind them. Broeck is going to be under a lot of pressure. Oh! Cañada hit Iglesias! Iglesias incredibly sideways! That's how the Spaniards like to drift, and it really helped Iglesias there, but Cañada, well, that's Red Bull racing.
There is, it's the Red Bull syndrome, and these lot have all been battling so much. The 7-second gap that was between them and Scott Giuliano and Laurent Evanese is now down to 3. So these 2 ISI racing cars are going to join onto the back of this within the next 2 to 3 laps at the rate that they're catching.
Yep, sorry, and here they come again down the back straight. Broeck leaves the door open for Cañada, but you can get on around the outside. Cañada comes up the inside. Here comes Martin Palm and Iglesias too. Broeck's going to hang on around the outside. That's very quick into there, isn't he? That's going to compromise his run out through turn 9. Look how close they are. They're almost bumper to bumper. It's like M25 traffic going on here. Kenyatta is so close to the back of Henry Virok. This 4-car battle for third position is absolutely astonishing. Palm's on the grass on the inside. Iglesias has got the toe from Kenyatta. Iglesias is going to try and come across. Kenyatta dives out of the slipstream to make a move up the inside into turn 10. Palm sensibly backs off to try and get a bit more momentum through. Almost 4 abreast as they exited that corner. Down into turn 11, and this time, Iglesias makes a mistake. That's going to allow Palm through, or is Palm just going to bump draft him? No, so Kenyatta now sits in third position.
For how long, though? It's like chopping and changing like some kind of madman trying to butcher a sex change operation, for want of better phrases, and I'm sure there's plenty out there.
There are
Kenyatta
lots of similes.
I'm sure there are. But Virok is straight onto it again, and a fantastic showing by the Turret Motorsport driver, trying down the outside where there's not really room, and Kenyatta being fair but only just to keeping all 4 wheels on. But Virok takes no for an answer, dives through the outside once again, and Virok is mighty into that chicane, and if he's not making a move in that chicane on the exit round this long sweeping corner, Kenyatta is punching through back again though, down the inside. Virok 2 wheels on the grass, that's not going to be your quickest way to grab traction, and that drops him back down to 4th. Palm has just swept through on Iglesias running a little bit of a mistake in 5th and 6th positions there, but as the cameraman has a little explosion fit off our screens because there's so much accident going on, and Virok wandering wide once again. But this 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th battle providing fantastic action, as here comes Martin Palm on Virok for 4 and 5. Let's see what the digital racing driver can do down into turn 1, and that's one of the cleanest, precisest moves we've seen actually. Oh, maybe not. Commentator's curse. And off onto the grass, and a quick picnic for Martin Palm, and Virok straight back in and doing his old favourite from behind down into the chicane, methinks.
Virok needs to push him. Give him a push, Henry, and you'll catch up with Kenyatta easily, but instead he's going to try and take the squabble to Martin Palm. You were right in that Virok is mighty into the chicane, but that often compromises him out of the chicane, as we saw last time, and into turn 9. He's hooked it up a little bit nicely all around this time, and the 4 cars are going to be right back together again, because this time Virok is... Oh, he has to ease off! Virok has to ease off in turn 9, which is something that the rest don't have to do, and as a result, Ivan Iglesias is now on the outside down into turn 10. I'd be surprised if he gets around there, because Virok is very strong under braking. Who's that they're catching up to? That is Alex Sorchuk. Danny Lovers has made his pit stop.
Yeah, he's in P2 at the moment, and that is going to change the course of the race potentially for him. He's going to end up in clear air, as here comes our quartet, as Sorchuk there driving very nicely. Good back marker stuff there by Alex to get out of the way of everyone, and as you can see behind the battle for 4th and 5th positions of Iglesias and Virok, there's a certain ISI duo that have now joined onto the back of this.
Certainly up. Giuliano is fairly close, but it's side by side once again for 2nd position now. Palm is up into 2nd place. Kenyatta has the inside for the chicane, but it's not really the inside, you know, because it's that final left-hander that's really the key corner in that complex. So Kenyatta has to back off of it round turn 9 in the toe as they head down into turn 10, and he's going to look to the inside. Palm thinks about covering. Is he going to be brave enough to... Oh, he's much later on the brakes there. Is he too late on the brakes there? No. Good work from Martin Palm.
Guys, I'm not going to say anything yet, but look at P11 and P12. It's a brilliant set of tactics from the DHR team. I'd say just brilliant. Daniel Lovers just in front of Jack Keithley.
Just quickly, P8, 9 and... sorry, I was getting a bit confused. Simon Melowish and Randu Muru and Even Pond, 7, 8 and 9 were 3 wide into turn 1, and Laurent Evanesi has crashed out from 9th position it was, and just to see what happened to him, he crashed out. He was whacked from behind by Alex Sorchuk, I think, or did he lose it by himself out of turn 1? Either way, he's out of the race for the ISI racing team.
But this Meliwish battle that you just pointed us to for position 6 now is Meliwish versus Pons. Oh, Pons has given Meliwish a shove. Meliwish hits the anti-cut, spins in front of Rando Muru, and flashes his light to say, what the hell was that? And Ivan Pons now goes off all by himself. He's I hate to say it, but he's a liability. Is poor Ivan Pons.
Ivan has been losing more bumpers than I have been changing toilet rolls the last couple of days, as Scott Giuliano's in the pits for his pit stop, so I don't know if he was caught up in any of that incidents as well. Eduardo Cañada is in the pits also from 5th position. Now he's the first one of that lot to pit, and that has allowed Martin Palm to pull out 3-second advantage over Viracan and Glacius. So something has kicked off in there somewhere, because Palm did not have a 3-second advantage over Viracan and Glacius. Jeffrey Ruskus then currently leads, and Jack Keithley, although this is all pit stop aggregated, is down in 10th, which currently gives a certain championship to Mr. Ruskus as current positions stand.
Very true,
I have
but
to
of
say
course...
something.
Go ahead, Marco.
I have to say something about that, guys. Jack Keithley is behind Lubbers, and Jack Keithley is catching Lubbers. So I might be thinking that there might be some team intentions there to keep the guys in a slipstream, keep the guys in a tow, and catch up with the front. And
But
when Jeffrey pits, he would get catched up with the DHR cars. It's a decent set of strategy there, I must say.
Perhaps, Marco, but if Lubbers slows down, he's going to lose the lead to Ruskus, isn't he? If he slows down too much, Jeffrey Ruskus is going to take the lead after the pit stops, and so they won't be able to bump their way back up the order. So it's Ivan Iglesias is now in the pits too. But this will tell us, actually, this will tell us, when Iglesias comes out, this will tell us where Keithley is overall.
Well, Cañada has leapfrogged Lubbers and Keithley in their pit stops because they've not changed tyres, and he's got a 4-second advantage over Lubbers. And as he crosses the line down into turn 1, Cañada is currently showing P6 now. Let's see, he has already passed Iglesias and moved up into 5th. Iglesias is rejoining the pits from 6th. Lubbers has gone through into that 6th position, so Iglesias is going to rejoin in between the DHR guys of Lubbers and Keithley, and that also will sort out Kraken Motorsports to take top spot in the Constructors' Championship if the things stay as they are. They won't, but as they are at the moment, Kraken win the Constructors, and Ruskus now is going to be winning the Drivers.
I can only think that Danny Lubbers must have had a bad pit stop, because his pit stop was 7 seconds longer, I think, than Jack Keithley. Well, his in-lap and out-lap, I should say, was 7 seconds longer. So whether it was the pit stop, whether it was a mistake. So Keithley is now down in 8th position. And, Ivan Pons has got to pit again. But apart from Ivan Pons, you know, I think everyone else, other than Ivan Pons, might come out in front of Keithley. In which case, Keithley will be 7th and Ruskus will be in the lead, which is that scenario that I said was too close to call.
It certainly is, so it's all gearing itself up to what could be quite possibly one of the closest finishes for GRC in a championship that we've ever had, from local knowledge that I have, which is not very much, I have to say.
I think we might be having a Hamilton moment a few years ago.
Yes, quite potentially.
I thought I saw Jeffrey Ruskus' headlights going on. It was not that way. So that's why I said, oh.
Ah, okay, well that explains it. When Ruskus pits, it will be crucial indeed. It's still 7 seconds between Ruskus and Palm. Now, how long, let me just have a quick look. How long did say Iglesias lose in his pit stop? He did a 20 and then a 38, so he lost, I can't bother to work it out, but something in the region of 20 to 30 seconds. Oh, this is going to be, it's going to be too close to call. 30. We need to wait for Ruskus to pit.
He lost 32 seconds.
That should be it. With a decent entry, I guess.
Yeah, he lost 32 seconds in his stop as Palm's just chopped off a little bit of time from Ruskus. The gap now 6.9 seconds. So 32 seconds and was lost from a pit stop which did not change tyres, and Iglesias is sliding that car around turn 1 like a dog that needs to be tamed very quickly, and in the best name of senses indeed. So if Ruskus is not going to change tyres, he will emerge actually around Cunhada and therefore be battling with the lead with Eduardo. However, if he does take tyres, which is an additional about 12 seconds, or 8 to 10 seconds maybe, he will emerge around Iglesias Keithley. So it's going to be swings and roundabouts.
But fuel too is the key, because the Kraken Motorsports didn't take fuel. And remember that Ruskus, Palm, Broeck, Pons all have to pit again. So in actual fact, the Ruskus has the potential to come out in front of Cunhada and still be in the lead of this race after the pit stops.
Definitely. As we are on lap 18 of 30, the 12 runners and riders that are still going. Jeffrey Ruskus leading currently. He's yet to pit. He's got only 6 seconds advantage over Martin Palm, who's suddenly turned the wick up. Is second at the moment. Henry Broeck is third, 11.7 seconds off the leader currently. Even Pons is fourth, 29 off. Those are your four that yet to pit. Then the people that have pitted, fifth place Eduardo Cunhada, 41 seconds down, being eaten into so quickly by Danny Lubbers for sixth, and that's going to be a battle that will be raging very shortly. And
sorry
here comes Ruskus in.
Simon. Ruskus is in the pit stop.
Now Palm stays out, Henry Broeck stays out, Ivan Pons could possibly stay out, and so will Ruskus. If Ruskus comes out in front of Danny Lubbers now is in front of Cunhada, so if Ruskus comes out in front of them, he is in the box seat for this, and I think he might do because Lubbers and Cunhada are battling down into turn 10,
tires.
And Ruskus is taking tyres, we believe. They're about to exit turn 11 now. Ruskus needs to get on it because they're coming out of the final corner. This could be the deciding moment in this year's championship. Lubbers versus Cunhada down into turn 1. Ruskus is away. Ruskus is approaching the pit lane exit as Lubbers and Cunhada come down to the pit lane exit. Lubbers is through. Lubbers takes the net lead of the race. Ruskus exits now in what will be a net third position.
Keithley.
With Iglesias behind him, and
too far away.
And Jack Keithley is in 8th place.
As Marco continues to shout at us from behind all kinds of orders, like he should have been born in the 40s. However, Cunhada in 5th position is about to have a go at Danny Lubbers down into the chicane, and these two, there's no love lost between these. They've been at each other's throats for most of the evening, and it's not just for team honours, it's for drivers' honours as well, because they want to continue moving themselves up the order as fast as possible. Palm is still going round for another lap by the looks of it. Henry Broeck is in from 2nd position though for Torrent Motorsports, and Pons continues round and moves up to a net 2nd at the moment.
Now, Cunhada and Lubbers, if they keep battling or take each other out, something like that, that's going to once again give the box seat to Jeffrey Ruskus. But at the moment, as it stands, Jack Keithley will win the championship. Henry Broeck, I don't know, one of them will. Broeck is still in the pits. He's having a hideously long stop. He's behind Keithley now. Broeck, he must have repaired damage or something, which is always a bit of an error. And Palm now is out in the lead of this race. Yeah, fail. Pons in 2nd. Lubbers and Cunhada are close in 3rd and 4th. Keithley and Iglesias. Iglesias got past Keithley. 6th and 7th positions, side by side, heading down into the chicane. They're both closing in on Jeffrey Ruskus as they head down into the chicane. Keithley is through. Keithley is flying at the moment. I wonder if these Kraken boys are struggling with their tyres a little bit. Perhaps they're not going to be quite as fresh if Keithley did change his tyres as they sweep down through turn 9. Is Iglesias going to have anything in response as they exit onto the back straight? It's an almost carbon copy of the battle going on further ahead, but we'll watch this one. Keithley versus Iglesias down into turn 10, Simon.
Yeah, and just looking at the lap times, the reason why Keithley is absolutely mullering these Kraken guys is because the Kraken guys are spreading between 13.5s and 14.2s, and Keithley has just put out 2 12.9s straight away as Czech, I think, has just injured himself.
No, that was a comment on a comment on the lap times. Ouch, that's a lot of time.
It is a lot of time to be losing around such a short track. Henry Broeck has just been off onto the grass in 8th position, but never mind him quite now while he's busy ruining his what was a fantastic opening section to the race, and now he's down to 8th, so he must be thinking what the hell happened there. So currently Martin Palm is still leading, even Pons is second, those two yet to stop. Lubbers currently sits in third, but with Kenyatta as right behind him as they pop a third lap on Alex Sawchuk, or is that a second? I'm not quite sure. Second lap on Sawchuk. This is going to be for net lead potentially, but Martin Palm has been so fast as Palm pops into the pits from the lead. He now is in prime position to yoink that lead off of everyone from under their noses, Jack.
Potentially, we're on lap 23 now of 30, so only 7 laps to go. I'd imagine Palm, if he's gone this far, will he take tyres? He stopped on his marks. Yep, rear going up. Martin Palm takes tyres. And
Tires.
Yes, tyres, and so he's been he's been passed by Lubbers, Kenyatta, and Ruskus, and Keithley, and Iglesias, and it's all gone wrong for Henry Broeck. Not Henry Broeck. Why did I even say his name? Martin Palm.
Even Pons leads. Even Pons leads. Go the independents. Even Pons, you've done more bumper changes than than a lady of the night, but you're still up there leading currently, even if it is all excitement. Let's look at Jack Keithley in 5th position, with even Iglesias right behind in 6th, and of course the more that Keithley continues to hold Iglesias behind, the more better of a chance of a championship winning situation he gets himself into, because he can see Jeffrey Ruskus, his main protagonist, contenders rather, sitting just ahead of him and not looking as pretty as what he did earlier on.
Not sure what happened to Scott Giuliano. He was running pretty strongly earlier. He was almost catching up to this gaggle. We saw Evan East crash out, but the closest battle is the one for 2nd and 3rd, which is ultimately the lead. Danny Lubbers and Eduardo Kenyatta right together as they dive down into the very cambered turn 1. Kenyatta is going to have an excellent run as they exit out through where the chicane should be, but is not, on this NASCAR WatkinsGlen layout. Many layouts around WatkinsGlen. Kenyatta moves to the outside now. He'll be on the outside for the first part of the chicane. Lubbers moves across to block him, but that's just going to give him the slipstream. That was foolish, Danny. Kenyatta is going to try and dink corner around the outside. Not quite going to make it work. And Kenyatta is impressing me on these used tyres. I can only imagine that Lubbers didn't change either, or Kenyatta lied to us and he has changed tyres.
Yeah, because he's handling this wear so much better than Iglesias. Iglesias has now dropped 7 seconds behind his teammate, and they were running side by side all the way. As here comes Eduardo for another yoink through, and look at him so late on the brakes. You can see the car wobbling about as he desperately tries to fight off the traction, and that's going to allow Lubbers back for a switcheroo around the outside if he can do it. No, he cannot. He cuts back on the inside and sees if he can displace him down into turn 1, but the fact that everyone's poking left and right to see whether they can just get the next corner ahead is fantastic racing once again by the GRC boys, and these two are now holding each other up because Ruskus is now closed to just 1.7 seconds behind Danny Lubbers. The gap between them previously was about 3.5. So by these two basically trying to beat each other to death at each corner, they're going to end up potentially displacing themselves both to Ruskus, and if that happens, that then puts Keithley in a bit of trouble, as here comes Lubbers on Kenyatta, Lubbers past Kenyatta again into 2nd position, Jack.
Certainly did.
So just a quick rundown of the order there. We've got Even Pons still yet to pit, and we've only got a couple of laps left to go. Danny Lubbers is 2nd, and you're watching them on their screens now with Eduardo Kenyatta behind. Jeffrey Ruskus has now caught the back of that and was doing his slipstream chance, I think. So it's all to play for now for Jeffrey Ruskus, and if he can jump those 2 cars ahead, it will be interesting as Even Pons finally pits, and that now hands Danny Lubbers the lead of the WatkinsGlen feature race here at GRC Season 8, sponsored by Alternate Networks.
Guys,
Marco.
Look at Ruskus behind Canada.
So we're seeing Ruskus catch up to Kenyatta. And I was trying to talk a moment ago, but it turns out I'd switched my microphone onto mute. Here comes Ruskus. It's Cadillac versus Cadillac out onto the back straight, heading down to 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Ruskus on the outside, Kenyatta on the inside. Ruskus got a little bit more straight line speed. He's going to turn in for the apex. Does he know? He gives Kenyatta enough room. So Ruskus up into second, but I think he's going to find Danny Lubbers a bit of a harder nut to crack. Keithley isn't making quite as much progress. But the crucial thing for Keithley is he is in fourth, so if Ruskus takes the lead, that's fine. And the other crucial thing is that he is in clear air, so he's not going to get involved in any collisions. So if he bins it, it's all going to be of his own making, as Danny Lubbers is about to start his second from penultimate, 3 laps to go.
Is he? Yes, he is. Possibly, yeah. But yeah, hats off to Danny Lubbers, actually. He has played the ultimate team game today. He's had better pace, probably due to the whole weight thing anyway, over Keithley, and he's really been there when it's counted for his teammate, and he should be given claps of applause today for what has been a real coming of age, I think, for Lubbers, and he should be quite proud of himself. Exactly.
Someone's at the door. Marco Vandenbroek's house.
That was me clapping my steering wheel, so I can't applause with the hands. I have
ordering mid-race refreshments.
Lubbers then isn't closing in on... I'll talk for a bit, Simon. Lubbers isn't closing in on Ruskus. 1.3 seconds is the gap. Although, I've just said that. Ruskus has just set his fastest lap of the race, so 1 minute 12.2. Alex Sorchuk is finally out of this race after having a fairly miserable time, whereas Danny Lubbers did a 1 minute 12.7, so I completely lied to you there, ladies and gentlemen. He took half a second out of him on that previous lap, and Lubbers is going to dive into the final corner. So Ruskus is pretty much doing all he can. He's looks like he might possibly win this race. Now, I was wrong last time. Now we have 3 laps to go, and well, Lubbers is doing all he can, but Keithley is sitting there solidly in 4th position.
Just quickly while you watch that, Simon Melliwish has just overtaken Even Pons for 8th position.
Heading out onto the back straight, and still 1.3 seconds separating them. I don't know where Ruskus is strongest, and Melliwish has just logged into MSN actually, so nobody's still in the race, so don't know what he's doing that for. The long straights here obviously alleviate some boredom. I remember when we did a 2CV race around Snetterton, you had enough time to send a text message and do a few other jobs when you were on the back straight, but the gap has gone up now to 1.5 seconds for the lead, so it looks like Danny Lubbers has got this covered off, and indeed most of them are fairly spread out now.
The only fly in the ointment that could potentially happen is they're coming round to lap Scott Giuliano in the crucial times, and if they catch him quick enough, there might be a slight bit of hesitation there for Lubbers, potentially, but we shall see what happens.
Penultimate lap for Danny Lubbers as he crosses the start-finish line for the 28th time in this 30-lap race. So lap 29 and lap 30 remaining, locks up a little bit going into turn 1. Gap drops down to 1.4, but still, no real inroads being made by either driver. This track has given us some great racing early on in the race, but the pit stops have kind of shaken everyone out. And as I say, if it stays like this, Jack Keithley is the champion for this season.
I believe it will, as Jack Keithley is just doing his safety laps, just to make sure he can hold the position, I guess. Because he's doing 1 minute 13s instead of 1 minute 12s. As Ruskus is actually pushing to take over Lubbers.
Down to 1.2, the gap at the front. Still not going to be quite enough as they head on to the final lap, unless Ruskus can pull out an absolute miracle of a final lap. He probably knows where Keithley is, so he thinks, bugger it, I might as well try as hard as I can to catch up. As they come across the line, the gap's down to 1.1 seconds, but unless he can get an amazing slipstream, it's not going to be enough for Jeffrey Ruskus today. Third place then is still Eduardo Kenyatta. In fact, the battle for third is on between Kenyatta and Keithley. They dive through turn 1 now, and Keithley is fairly close, so that'll be one to keep an eye on. We'll probably have time to watch Lubbers come across the line and then watch Kenyatta and Keithley come across the line. as they head out onto the back straight. Lubbers then has been absolutely dominant in this race. A very impressive drive from the DHR Simcraft driver. This is far too close to call in terms of the Constructors' Championship. I don't have the necessary capabilities to figure that one out. But as Danny Lubbers rounds turn 9 and heads out onto the back straight once more, down to turn 10, he's going to be very happy with his day's work. He's done everything he can to help Jack Keithley, and indeed he has been a great big help. And he hasn't played it dirty, he hasn't held anyone up, he's just driven his own race. But when he can help the team, he can. He exits turn 11 now to come across the line, and Danny Lubbers comes across the line here at WatkinsGlen to take the victory. But in 4th position, Jack Keithley comes out of turn 11 to... And Kenyatta's run wide! Keithley takes 3rd position and the GRC Season 8 Championship. Absolutely delighted the young man from Suffolk will be with that. Ruskus did finish in 2nd, but it's Keithley who is the champion.
Well, action down to the absolute last split second there, and there you can see Jack Keithley getting the donuts on, and what a thoroughly deserved champion he is for our Division 1 Ultranet Networks Championship here, Season 8 of Gentleman's Racing Club. And hats off to the guy, and hats off to DHR, who I think with that may well have just sneaked the Constructors, but I don't have the pen and pad to do the maths here, so I shall let someone else have a go at that. Quick rundown of the order though of the race. Danny Lubbers won it. Jeffrey Ruskus tried and done everything that he could, and you couldn't really ask anything more of him for that 2nd place, really, I don't think. Jack Keithley, fantastic 3rd. Eduardo Cunhada will be kicking himself up the backside for that 4th position and the last 2nd incident for him. Ethan Iglesias, 5th place, marking the end of what has been a excellent season for him, albeit a little bit topsy-turvy at times. Martin Palm down to 6. It didn't work with that tyre change at the end of the race for Martin, unfortunately. Henry Vierock, 7th place. Again, that long stop for to repair damage put him out of the action. Simon Mellowish and Evan Pons were 8th and 9th respectively, and they swapped positions about 3 times in the last 3 corners. So good end to the race for both of those two. Randy Murray rounded out the top 10 for Backmarker Brigade, with Scott Giuliano running out of fuel as he crossed the line, so he timed that one to perfection. Our retirements: Alex Sorchuk, lap 24, engine failure. Lauren Evanessi, lap 13, crash. RP McMurphy, lap 6, crash. Daniel Beck and Pablo Martinez crashed into each other on lap 3, and Mohammed Patel decided to roll-it-y-poly it on lap 2.
Martin Palm just revealing that his pit stop took 16 seconds, and it was a puncture for Eduardo Cunhada, so they ran the tyres to their absolute limit and a little tiny bit beyond there, the Kraken guys, and Cunhada will be peeved if that cost them the Constructors' Championship. We'll have to wait and see. Like I say, it's far too close to call because Lubbers won, Keithley 3rd, but Cunhada and Iglesias were 3rd and 4th, so it's going to be very, very difficult to decide that. We'll have to wait for Alain Cottini, the Division 2 driver and the Division 1 administrator, to release those results onto league control. We're joined now by Simon Mellowish in the commentary box. Not sure if he wants an interview, but I'll ask him a question and then we'll see if he'll answer it. Simon, action-packed race there. You were looking strong in the first race, but the second race wasn't really quite as you would have wanted.
Yeah, the first race was great. Me and Jack were like reliving Talladega nights and doing shake and bake moves all the race. Then in qualifying for race 2, I put it in the wrong gear and spun it. Then, I died actually. And then in race 2, I actually spun, but I was having problems braking because I said at the last race I've got a screwed up foot, and I was having to brake my right foot, which is not normal for me. So.
Absolutely, but it seemed like quite a good circuit to race on. Plenty of slipstreaming all over the place.
Yeah, it's a brilliant track. I can never get turn 1 right, and like you saw in the first race, as soon as we got into the twisty stuff, Jack was all over me, but on the straights I was pulling away.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, and it's good to see you finally getting a bit of pace in the BMW. Presumably you'll be sticking with the BMW for Season 9, if the BMW is still involved, of course.
Yeah, like I heard you saying earlier, I was crap in the Lexus, so I think I will be in the BMW unless it suddenly changes physics-wise.
We're joined now by the man from Suffolk, from Ipswich, and the GRC Division 1 champion for Season 8, Jack Keithley. Yeah, woohoo indeed. Jack, brilliant result there. Congratulations from all of us here in the commentary box. And, well, tell us about your race. Did you ever think you weren't going to make it?
Yeah, well, I shall say, man, that was so nerve-wracking. That was the longest race of my life, especially at the end. Earlier on, when I was battling with Broeck, and you might have seen me, I got half sideways off the second to last corner. At that moment, I thought, it's going to be very close now if I do win it, because I was thinking that Jeffrey was not going to take tyres, but eventually did, and yeah, only finished 2 places behind him and Danny won, so excellent.
Yeah, congratulations there, Jack, and thoroughly deserved championship. Do you have any particular highlights from the season yourself?
Well, certainly Manfield, you know, just because of my double win. Perez, I think, was a very good one as well. Needed the points there. Essington, one of my favourites that was. And yeah, overall it was just a really, really good season.
And after challenging for the championship now for a couple of years at least, it must be great to finally get it over. What does it feel like to win a championship? Because it's something that none of us here have ever done.
Well, it feels good. You know, I just feel a bit like Alan Menu when he was runner-up in the British Touring Car Championship 3 times in a row. You know,
a bit like Ipswich in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
At least they stayed up.
Yeah, at least your team went down.
No, we're in the Premiership. We're in the Premiership again. But anyway.
No, my team went down.
Yeah. No, Jack, don't you support Norwich?
No, I'm a Wolves fan, mate. Oh yeah, Mellish supports Plymouth. They're just rubbish.
I know. Yeah, they are just rubbish. Yeah.
Jack's a Glory supporter. He doesn't support Norwich when they're doing bad.
Anyway, back to the racing. Congratulations there, Jack Keithley, our 2010 GRC champion. He'll be back to compete Season 9, which may well be on rFactor 2, with any luck. Simon Smith, you've seen Division 1 from the start to the finish. What do you think of the season?
Well, personally, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's seen some of the best sim racing action I've ever come across in my, albeit stunted, sim racing lifespan that I've had for the last 3 to 4 years, I suppose. Everyone's fantastic people to race with, chat with, enjoy. It's a great community event, and I hope everyone's enjoyed watching the broadcasts on PSR TV. I hope everyone's enjoyed racing all of the different races. I mean, you've had 33 drivers in a division. Oh no, sorry, you've had. I'm looking at Division 2 now. I was busy watching where my standings were and seeing how far down I was. We've had 40 drivers compete for Division 1, which has been sponsored by Ultranet Networks, and we should thank our sponsors for all of their fantastic work and donation and love and support for making this entirely possible. And I'd just also like to thank Gary Gray, who's been the silent man on cameras, putting up with all of our rubbish. Marco for not actually making any sense or being comprehensible at all during the entire streak that we've had. But we love you anyway, and I would have your babies, but no. And thank you for Jack and everyone else popping in for interviews and stuff like that during the time as well. So I've had a great time, and I hope everyone comes back for Season 9.
Hang on, can I just quickly just say something? Yeah, I just want to say thanks to the team, all the boys and all that, and Damien, Jeffrey for making some really close racing, Simcraft also, and yeah, also I want to thank you, Simon, for just letting me go there in race 1, because I saw we were battling pretty hard there.
Shake and bake.
Yeah. Same goes for Evan as well.
Keithley, of course, referring to Damien Dane Humane, who's the team boss over at DHR Racing. So, any final thoughts from you, Marco van den Broek, after a brilliant season? Try and say something we can understand.
I'll try. It's just a lovely season today. This was just a lovely season. I mean, Jack, of course, congratulations to him. First and second place, very interesting there. And yeah, just a lovely season. Different wins, lots of battles, and one of the most exciting touring car seasons I've seen. So yeah.
Finally, we've got Danny Lubbers in here in the commentary box. Danny, brilliant race 2, your first win in GRC, and you must be happy to see your teammate win the title as well. Tell us about your evening.
Yeah, thank you. I was racing for the team title. That was the most important thing tonight. So yeah, congratulations to Jack. But he done a great season overall.
Just
Absolutely.
to jump in, sorry Jack, just to jump in, the standings have gone up and DHR Simcraft are the Constructor Championships winners, so congratulations Danny and Jack.
Oh yes.
Great work there. So, a season constructors win for DHR, taking it away from the Kraken Motorsports guys, who were the reigning champions. And Danny, just a quick note about you. Obviously, you said you raced for the team tonight, and it was all about getting the team championship. But it must be good to take the victory.
Yeah, it feels awesome. I was in the 4th race of the season. I got disconnected when I had the chance to win. And yeah, finally tonight I won the race.
Well, that's what dreams are made of, and
Yep.
I hope you've all exactly. And I hope everyone's enjoyed it. That's about it then for season 8, Division 1 of GRC. Oh noes! We hope you join us all again very shortly for the Formula 3 season, if we're going to get that broadcast. If not, we'll see you all back here next week for Division 2, where you get to see all of us incompetent commentators try our very best and fail miserably. Until then, we shall see you for Season 9. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.